What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the new album from the band Carcass, entitled Surgical Steel. This is released on Nuclear Blast Records. Now, Carcass need absolutely no introduction whatsoever, but to those who happen to not be in the know about Carcass, they are based out of Liverpool, England, and these guys, in my opinion, are absolute pioneers of metal. Pretty much a band that can fuse the grit and the grime of death metal with the speed and the tenacity of grindcore. These guys, in my opinion, are pioneers of that stuff and are definitely motivational to many, many bands across the world. When I think of Carcass, three things come to mind. The what is it called? The flesh-ripping Sonic Torment demo, and their first two albums, Reek of Putrefaction and Symphonies of Sickness. Both way ahead of their time, in my opinion, on a musical, lyrical, and visual kind of front. I mean, just the way the music was, it had a very dirty and ugly sound to it, but the way it was executed was just sensational. I love Reek of Putrefaction. I love Symphonies of Sickness even more. I mean, just the vocals, the lyrical themes, the gory, pathological type of stuff. I love that about early Carcass, and I just find that stuff to be just amazing and beyond entertaining. But then we go on into the 90s, where things begin to take a little bit of a drastic change. They still rely within death metal more often than anything, but things seem to take a lot more of a melodic approach. You heard some of that on the third album, Necrotism Descanting the Insalubrious. Just some incredible stuff. It was your typical Carcass record, but it had some really melodic stuff going on. It seemed a bit different at first, but the more I listened to it, the more I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that album a lot. And then moving on to what many consider a hallmark in melodic death metal, that being Heartwork. I thought Heartwork was great. I enjoyed that album a lot. I enjoyed the vocals, I enjoyed the lyrics, and just the musical interplaying. Just some amazing stuff to be heard with that album. Then, 3 years later, came Swan Song, which stayed within melodic death metal, but had a little bit more of a rock and roll kind of vibe going for it, which was something completely different. And I think it's a decent album. I'm not going to say that it's god-awful or terrible like I know a lot of other people assume it to be. Of course, it's just all personal opinion, but compared to what Carcass had put out in the past, wasn't so strong on it, you know? But yeah, I would have liked Carcass to have ended on a better note instead of that album. But now, fast forwarding to now, 17 years later, when I found out that Carcass were going to reform and do a brand new album on Nuclear Blast, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit skeptical. I didn't know what exactly they were going to do. Were they going to stick to the melodic death metal sound that they crafted with albums like Necrotism and Heartwork? Or were they going to be making a return to the Carcass of old with their demo and Reek and Symphonies? I honestly didn't know how to feel or what to expect, and I certainly wasn't going to overhype myself into having high expectations for this album because I didn't want to feel disappointed later on in the long run. But then, going forward, the song Captive Bolt Pistol. I heard that song, and I'm not going to lie, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was a great headbanger. I enjoyed the music of that track. Of course, they brought in a brand new drummer, and of course, this album was recorded as a trio. So, things started to seem on the up and up for me. Now, here we are with the sixth full-length from Carcass entitled Surgical Steel, Surgical Steel, sixth full-length from Carcass. It's 11 tracks, and it clocks in at around 47 minutes in length. And what better way for an album to start out with than the first track, the introduction, 1985. Just the soaring guitar riffs on that track are amazing. It's so catchy, and it only made me wonder what the next 10 tracks moving forward were going to be like. Now, mind you, I had heard no songs from this album other than Captive Bolt Pistol and maybe the teaser trailer for this album, but I didn't really hear any full-length songs. But now I have. And do I think this album was worth the 17-year wait? Absolutely, I can definitely say yes to this. This album exceeded my expectations, and I definitely consider this a triumphant return for Carcass. Guitar work on here is just sensational. Bill Steer is the man. He was the man then, and he's the man now. Just his guitar work on here is phenomenal. As soon as you hear those opening riffs on Thrasher's Abattoir, to songs like Cadaver Pouch Conveyor System, Non-Compliance to ASTM F899-12 Standard. I'm getting onto the Carcass lyrics later, but some of the guitar work on here is just amazing. I just love the way the riffs are on this album. Great riffs, awesome leads, terrific solo work. It's almost immaculate sounding, just the way the guitar is being played here. I really, really enjoy the dedication and attention to detail that the guitars have on this album. I really, really love it. I mean, going on to songs like A Congealed Clot of Blood, you hear that almost heavy, melodic type of approach. I mean, some of the melodic stuff that you heard on Heartwork, you'll hear some of that in bits and pieces on this particular album. And I think the guitar work on here is just sensational. It is definitely a major highlight for me here. When it comes to the bass is very well played. It's very audible. It's definitely well mixed and mastered. I definitely think it is well suited for the tone and the vibe of this album. It doesn't try to outdo anything or try to be too loud. I definitely think it fits right within this album's mix. I really think it sounds good. This new drummer, this new drummer is the real deal. Yeah, I really enjoy the way he plays here. Just really sensational. It sounds very clean, sounds very modern, but yet the way he plays everything is just tremendous. I love his fills, his drum rolls, his blast beats, double bass, great drum patterns, very meticulous sounding stuff. And the drums are terrific. I really enjoy the way this drum style is throughout this entire album. The fast moments and the more mid-pace to slower moments are really awesome. I enjoy this guy's pace. And moving on to the vocals, this is probably the most inspired I've ever heard Jeff Walker sound. His vocals just sound great. I mean, of course, you know, his vocal style began to change over the years from the first couple of Carcass albums to later era albums. And of course, he just sounds great. I can't even believe the fact that he sounds this amazing to me. I mean, just his growls, the way he speaks, the way he delivers his lyrics and words, it's awesome. Going back to Thrasher's Abattoir, I think his demeanor on that song is just crazy. I mean, think, if you will, if you have the mindset of an old thrash metalhead, a metalhead that represents the old guard of thrash. The type of mindset on that song is just very entertaining. To even the Master Butcher's Apron. Just some great stuff going on with those particular tracks. And of course, the lyrics are as weird and as wild as any kind of Carcass record would be. Out of the previous two Carcass records, I would say lyrically this is some incredible stuff. I'm really enjoying the attention to detail and just overall quality that I hear in the lyrics. It's just really awesome stuff. I will be honest enough to say that the first half of this album is definitely much, much better than the second half of this album, because everything gets started off right with a bang, and then moving on forward, things start to just calm down and ease off just a little bit. But for this album as a whole, I really, really loved it. I think this is a welcome return to form. I definitely enjoyed every bit of this album. Even the bonus tracks that appear on here, there's I forget the name of the song that's on the Japanese-only version of this track, but of this album, but it's pretty damn good. And there's a bonus track on here called Intensive Battery Brooding. I think it's a great track, definitely a fun listen. So overall, This is a comeback definitely worth talking about. I really enjoyed this album. Carcass are back with a vengeance. Whether or not I'm going to be talking about this again towards year's end, I'm really not too sure. But I think this is an awesome release, and Carcass are definitely back with a vengeance. So if I had to pick any particular tracks, I would definitely have to say Thrasher's Abattoir, Cadaver Pouch Conveyor System, the Master Butcher's Apron, 316L grade surgical steel. Just some great stuff to be heard. Yeah, you can buy this album pretty much anywhere. It's available on Jewel Case, Digipack with bonus track, cassette tape, 2LP, digital. Get this however you can if you're a fan of Carcass. I think it's worth it and then some. So I'm going to show you the album again. This is Surgical Steel by Carcass. This is released on Nuclear Blast Records. Definitely check this out. And as far as the score is concerned, I'm going to give this a very solid 8.5 out of 10. Really awesome release, and it's definitely great to see Carcass back up and running and doing their thing. So I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until the next time, I'm Miho out.